Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to this episode of Test Those Breasts. I am your host, Jamie Vaughn, and we are in season 4 of the podcast. And so I'm super excited. And today I get to interview my friend Crissy Florio again. We have actually talked on the podcast early on in my podcast days, but I get to have her back because she's got some exciting news for us. So Chrissy is a passionate advocate for holistic healing, blending over a decade of experience as a 200 ERYT yoga instructor with a personal journey of resilience and empowerment. She specializes in vinyasa and therapeutic yoga with advanced training in yoga for cancer recovery, yoga for lymphatic system, and yoga for myofascial release. A breast cancer thriver herself, Chrissy drew on her yoga practice to move through her journey with grace and ease, deepening her connection of the mind, body, and spirit connection. She expanded her knowledge to include holistic practices that support healing and now shares these tools with others navigating life after cancer. Her first book, For the Love of Jugs, A Breastie's Guide, Creating Grace and Ease Through the Breast Cancer Journey, is set to launch February 23rd of 2025. Written with love, humor, and authenticity, For the Love of Jugs, A Breastie's Guide is a heartfelt guide offering a holistic approach to navigating breast cancer. Her goal is to inspire women to reclaim their power and navigate their cancer journey with grace, strength, and ease. Chrissy is deeply passionate about empowering others. She believes that breast cancer diagnosis doesn't have to dull your shine. She advocates for her fellow breasties, helping them find peace in their journey, reconnect with their bodies, and reclaim their inner power. She also promotes preventative breast health education to support women before a diagnosis ever even occurs. Nice. Through her book, teachings, workshops, and events, her mission is to help many Pink Sisters and women in general rediscover their strength, tap into their spiritual essence, and let their inner light radiate. Oh, right up my alley, Chrissy. How are you doing
Yes,
today?
I am fantastic. And honestly, just first of all, I'm so happy to be back here with you again. We had such a good time the first time we spoke. Probably, God, I think that was back in 2023.
Yep.
Um, so I'm honored to be back here again with your amazing community and, just sitting here listening to you say all of that. I just, put my hands on my heart and I receive and I feel all the feels. I've got
Mhm.
tears kind of coming down my face because, as we know, life after cancer can really be just a different journey than what we had ever anticipated. And just to hear somebody else speak of some of the things that I've done since then and how I've really kind of developed this pathway of being really present and just appreciating life way more than I ever thought. It was just humbling to listen to it. So thank you.
Yeah, you're so welcome. And thank you because I mean, I love working with women. And so, there's a lot of things that has changed, since I've actually talked to you. I'm doing the breast cancer classes through the Know Your Lemons, and I'm pretty sure you know who that is, right?
Uh-huh. Yep. Yep.
Know Your Lemons.
Amazing.
And I've taught 47 people here in Reno so far. And on World Cancer Day, February 4th, I'm going to be teaching another class at Nevada Cancer Coalition, which is a local
Amazing.
community cancer place here in Reno. So I love to talk to people who also advocate and teach people who've never even been diagnosed yet, because that's the thing is that we need to have that as part of our audience, because otherwise obviously you're preaching to the choir of people who've already had
Yeah.
breast cancer. So we have to make sure that those other people, even younger folks, because they're getting cancer as well. So
Well,
thank you for
it's
what you do.
of course, it's the preventative measure.
Mhm.
Unfortunately, our medical society and the world we live in and, in hospitals and the medical field it's reactive care, right?
Mhm.
So they're working with the people after they're already diagnosed. But what can we start to do to really get the word out? There's things that you can start to do beforehand, before you get diagnosed, if ever, right? And it goes for any kind of disease. It doesn't have to necessarily just be breast cancer, but I think that understanding our bodies, having a beautiful connection with our bodies, our energy, our minds, our hearts before something of a diagnosis or a traumatic situation happens allows us to be able to go through whatever scenario it is with a
Yep.
little bit better understanding. You'll be stronger, you'll be healthier to navigate whatever the waters are for you. So I think it's really important for all listeners and all people to understand that we got one life to live in this physical body that we're in. So why not really treat it with the love and the respect and honor it and feed it what it needs to be fed and nourish it the way that it needs to be nourished in order to try to be as healthy as we can. I mean, obviously with external factors and environmental toxins and stuff like that, there are some things that are just literally out of our control. But again, if we really start to strengthen this bond with our bodies and strengthen the actual bodies themselves to be able to move and be the way that they're designed to, whatever comes our way will be a little less hard to navigate through.
Right. And I do want to amplify what you just said because I've been talking to, I've talked to people about this all the time. You know, when I was diagnosed, and you and I probably mentioned it when we interviewed, is that when I was diagnosed, I was in really good shape. Like I was
Mhm.
very healthy. I, was at a great weight. I was really healthy in my mind, physically healthy. And, so people were pretty surprised when I got breast cancer. They're like, oh my God, but you're so healthy. And it
Mhm.
just really, really hit me hard thinking to myself, you know, it's almost like I felt like people were like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Like it was
Yeah.
my fault that I got cancer, and then come to find out that healthy people can get cancer too.
I
And the
hear it all the
point
time.
is, yeah, and the point is that yes, healthy people can get cancer because we all have cancer cells, right? Um
Yes.
so but the point is that I was able to move through it much better than if I wasn't healthy. And
It's so true. Yeah.
so
I mean,
people
like I
need to be
said,
healthy.
I hear it all the time, and I too. I was a yoga instructor. I was young. I was 42 years old. I thought I was healthy. I taught yoga. I ate fairly well. I'm in a happy, marriage. I have beautiful children. And then I get slapped with this. So I was diagnosed with triple positive breast cancer. So ERPR and triple HER2 positive breast cancer, sorry. And back in 2020. And talk about like a gut wrenching kind of
Gut punch.
situation. Yeah, I was like, what? And you do, obviously when you get diagnosed with it, you start thinking about what did I do wrong? What and we can't go down that route. That's a whole
Right.
rabbit hole of things that just we don't
Yeah.
ever want to do that. But what I realized was, there were things when I stopped and looked back, I'm like, oh, okay, well, I could have probably stopped that. I probably could have ate a little bit better here and this and that. So, but again, to your point, if you're healthy before, you're able to navigate the waters. Think
Yeah.
about just COVID or even any kind of sickness, flu, or whatever. We hear about colds going around left and right. But if
Mhm.
you're a healthy person and your immune system is strong
Mhm.
and your lymphatic system is flowing the way that it should, then yeah, you're going to catch up on some bacteria, but your body's going to be able to do its job
Right.
and fight it and work through and be able to eliminate and detox the bacteria.
Yes, yes.
So,
Hey, and then also, didn't you do the what do you
cold
call for your
capping,
yeah, cold
cold,
capping.
I did. I did.
And that worked pretty well for you.
That did. That did. I mean, I want to say I lost a little bit right at the crown and maybe just a little bit kind of like around my ears. But for the most part, I have a lot of hair. I
Yeah.
have a lot of hair. So I was able to maintain my hair. It's funny, my
Yeah.
husband's bald. So he was like, that's my look in the family. I don't want anybody else having my look. So it was wonderful. So, yeah, that was one of the add-ons in my journey that I did. But I gotta say, obviously, when I started going through my protocol and what my process and what my journey was going to be in my breast cancer storyline, I had to stop and pause, obviously, with it being COVID too. I had to quarantine myself again. The uncertainty of life back then was I had no idea how my body was going to react to if I did come into contact with COVID, with immunity being down. So we as a family quarantined once again, and it honestly was a blessing in disguise. As much as I love support and I want support, I got it in a different way, not in a physical
Mhm.
touch type of support. Although I'm a big hugger, I love to hug. I
Yeah.
missed my hugs from people, but
Mhm.
it really gave me the time to pause and to realize that healing through a breast cancer or a cancer journey or a diagnosis of some sort, even trauma, has to not just be on a physical level. It has to
Mhm.
be on an emotional, an energetic, a mental body. So we really need to kind of look at our bodies as a whole and see where we can kind of start to incorporate other healing modalities. And that's why I really appreciated more of an integrative approach. I didn't just do Eastern or Western medicine, traditional or conventional medicine. I really merged the two together. I did
Mhm.
do cold capping. I did do chemo. I did do mastectomy with reconstruction. But behind the scenes, I was meditating daily. I was doing visualization work, white light healing. I didn't do EFT tapping until after I was done with chemo because the tapping on the head, I was afraid to do that with the cold capping.
Uh-huh.
Because there's a lot of things that you're not really supposed to do when you're cold capping, like getting too heated, brushing your hair too much, washing your hair too much, because that could potentially allow the hair to fall out. So I didn't really do um, EFT tapping or emotional freedom technique. But I love that now. I incorporated it after. Um, Going out for walks, being in nature, jumping in the ocean, all things that could help me heal, release any of the stagnant, heavy energy that some of the Western protocols could provide, like
Mhm.
radiation. I didn't do radiation, but like a radiation could, or like chemotherapy can do. Some of that heaviness and that trauma of getting the actual protocols can stay stuck in our cells. So I really tried to do a good job of releasing that and being open and vulnerable and healing on all levels, not just the physical. I wasn't looking at just where the cancer was. I was really trying to look at my body as a whole and shed layers and heal just things that have happened to me in the past that, who knows, who could potentially have been um, a reason why I got the breast
Right.
cancer,
Right.
So
Yeah. Yeah, and it's hard because we just never know. Like we
you never
don't,
know.
you
Yeah,
can think about what if, did this cause it, did that cause it? I mean, I always thought that it was stress and trauma for me. I mean, I lost my mom in 2019 and I still feel like I haven't recovered from that and I don't
sure,
but it
sure.
just caused a lot it kind of set off this whole um thing of my relationship with my dad changed, just
Mm-hmm.
so much. And I just really felt that that's what it was. And then I've talked to like surgeons, breast surgeons, and people like that who have said, "Oh yeah, that's a bunch of hoo-ha. That's not
Yep.
it's not
Yeah.
stress and trauma." So it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know what I could have done. But oh, and then I had someone say that I probably ate too much soy. I think you and I said that we talked about. I think we talked
Yeah,
about that in the
and
beginning too. Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
I know,
that's amazing.
yeah, yeah, and I know that that's been a myth. I know that that was a thing, and I remember it very well when that came out, and I
Hmm.
stopped eating any kind of soy products and
Yeah,
things like that. But it all turns out that it just depends on where things are sourced from. You want to make sure that you're not
sure.
eating processed foods
Yeah,
and things like that.
non-GMO and
Yeah,
absolutely. And the truth of the matter is as well is that we want to, from a physical standpoint, if our lymphatic system, which is our, I don't love to call it waste removal system, but in a sense it is. It's the
yeah,
system of our body that's picking up excess bacteria, excess hormones, excess cells, and moving it through the channels of our body to then be eliminated. And if our immune system is over, or well, yeah, if our immune system and or lymphatic system are overloaded trying to fight something, or our liver is like bombarded because we drink too much or we eat too, whatever, then our body is on overload and it can't actually go to the cancerous cells and really kind of fight that as well, right? So the immune system, the lymphatic system really should be super important in our healing. And even beforehand,
before.
understanding those systems, right? Understanding how we can support those systems to help in that detoxification, to help our build the strength of our immune system, to help our circulatory system and all the things. So, and our gut too, we more and more
Oh
research
yeah.
is coming out about how important our gut is. That holds about 80% of our immune system and 80% of our lymphatic system as well, right? So, it's I don't quote me on those statistics of the lymphatic system, but I have heard 80% of the immune system for sure. But we do have a lot of lymph nodes also in our gut that can help kind of detox as well. But when we're unhealthy and we're on overload and we're constantly eating things or drinking things or putting us in a space where there's Bluetooth always around, Wi-Fi always around, those kind
Oh
of,
yeah.
EMFs, those electromagnetic fields around, then our body just is on overload, and it's just the way of the world right now. So if there are things that we can do to take our own health into our own hands, like lymphatic drainage, like moving our bodies, like breath work and meditation, a lot of those we can do on our own and are free as well, right?
Right,
So
right.
I love things like that where I can learn about it. I can do it in my own body and I don't have to go to a specialist, although going to specialists are fantastic, like lymphatic drainage massages are amazing and really important to go to a specialist to do those, because that can kind of help and release some of that toxic waste that's in the body potentially.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Do you, when you talk to people about moving them through their cancer journey and then life and beyond, do you recommend any kind of supplements or so like I love doing fiber.
Mhm.
I'm a doTERRA girl. So
Mm,
I use their fiber and then the psyllium husk.
okay. Okay.
I heard that psyllium husk is something we all need.
Okay.
What do you usually tell people? I mean, it's nice because it just cleans you out. It's so
Yeah.
good. It feels so
Yeah.
good.
I think that everyone is so different. And with our own genetic DNA and makeup, how we absorb things is going to be different from person to person. For me personally, I really don't give too much advice around that because, again, I don't know how they're going to absorb it. And somebody who takes a ton of vitamin C, but maybe it's not the right vitamin C, or their body's not
Mhm.
absorbing it properly, or they're not eating it at the right time, that could kind of potentially be a not very good thing, right?
Right.
So I encourage all of my um women that I speak to and clients and friends to really talk to more of a naturopathic doctor.
Nutritious. Yeah.
Yes, or a nutritionist. And the truth of the matter is, like, we are not getting the nutrition that we need to
Right.
from our food. We should. I love to look at food as medicine, but the truth of the matter is that most people just are not. They're not receiving as much, fruits
Vitamin
and
D.
vegetables. Yeah, yeah. And if you live in a place where you can't get outside and get fresh, like vitamin D, real vitamin D, taking it, you got to have the right one. What is it? What do you got to take it with so you know your body absorbs it? I don't have that knowledge. I don't. So that's why I kind of refer out to more of like a
Right.
naturopathic doctor or a functional medicine doctor. Um, but yeah, I think fiber is really important to get things continuing to move. I think exercising and sweating
Mhm.
and breath work and moving your lymphatic system, I really, really encourage that. So when I'm working with some of my private clients, we do I teach them certain things that they can help their lymphatic system that they can start to do daily, add it into their daily routine. Um, and then, as far as, I mean, I know there's a ton of supplements out there, but again, I just kind of refer out to
Yeah.
the special, the specialty people.
Right, because you never know where it's coming from. Like
Yeah,
most of the time you're peeing that stuff out anyway. So yeah, I definitely always recommend people going to a nutritionist, natural
naturopathic.
doctor, naturopathic
Hmm.
doctor. I do have friends who see integrative oncologists,
Yeah,
and it is really, really important that that integrative oncologist can work hand in hand with your regular oncologist as well. I think
yeah.
when both of them are working together, it's way better, way
And
better.
that's
So,
so beautiful
mm,
if you can find that
yeah,
pairing. I have found in my own experience that a lot of conventional doctors don't really want to work
yep,
with the integrative side, with the holistic side. So finding centers and doctors and offices that will incorporate the two, I mean, to me, it's the best of both worlds.
it
And
is.
that's what I always say is that you don't have to pick sides. Why can't we bring them together and let them work with one another to
Mhm,
really create this journey of healing physically of where the cancer is, get it out, but then on an emotional and a mental level,
mhm,
on an energetic level as well. When I was going through chemo, I was lucky enough to have a pranic energy healer kind of working on me while I was going to chemo and a few times throughout the week to help cleanse out some of the energy of what chemo can do and
mhm.
the trauma of going and getting chemo. It's very scary when you first start. You don't know what to expect. You have no idea how your body's going to adapt to it, what side effects you're going to get. And I honestly, while I did get a whole slew of side effects, I still feel it was probably way better than again if I were unhealthy. I feel like my side effects would have been way worse. And if I
Mhm.
didn't have my energy healer helping to cleanse some of that out of me as well, I feel like I would have been able to I would have been more tight. I would have been more emotionally kind of not healing in that aspect as well as energetically, obviously, too.
Right.
So it's really, really important that we see ourselves as a whole. And maybe this is a good segue. So, for the book,
Yes.
um, for the Love of Jugs, out February 23rd this year, 2025. Um, it's the book that I wish I had. It's the book that I wish I had right from the beginning. It's the book that the moment you either hear somebody that you love that just was diagnosed, or maybe they were diagnosed months ago, maybe they're a thriver and they're still needing some help to kind of, work through things. This is the book that I want people to just the moment they hear that, I got to order you. Because how many times have you heard, oh my gosh, my friend was just diagnosed. What can I send her? Right? I get that question all the time. This book, my intention is that this book is going to be super helpful in that
Great.
case. So It's For the Love of Jugs, and I have a funny
Okay.
story of why it's called For the Love of Jugs.
I love the name.
I know it's catchy, it's funny, it's light, right? It's humorous.
Yeah, kind of like test those breasts.
Exactly, exactly. It's fun. And just to bring a sense of lightness to it, right?
Mhm.
Breast cancer diagnosis is a heavy journey, but it doesn't have to be, right? So kind of give ourselves a little bit of grace. And my brother-in-law, quick story, real quick. My brother-in-law used to always call me Jugs before I was diagnosed. Funny because I never had
Weird.
boobs. Right, right. And it was a joke because I was very small. I was not well endowed before I got diagnosed. Neither am I now. But he would always like, "What's up, Jugs?" And so, kind of after my journey, when I started thinking, like, how can I be now of service to the beautiful pink sisters that are going to go
Mhm.
ahead of me or, after? And when I started to really think about doing a book and what I wanted to be, and I was like, for the love of jugs, just for the love of jugs.
I
Right?
love it.
So that's how
I
that
love
was
it.
born. But it's a breastie's guide. It's kind of like, what to expect when you're expecting, your girlfriend's guide to things, that sort of thing. But it brings my essence of how I went through my journey really with this feeling of ease, of peace, of grace, what I've created in my journey and what it's not necessarily my storyline. My story is woven into it for sure, but it is helping women from the moment they hear those words to hopefully they hear the words that they are cancer free, NED, no sign of, cancer anywhere. I pray that all Pink Sisters hear those words. I understand that not everybody will, but this book can really help them navigate their journey and open their eyes to seeing their journey through a different lens and more of a holistic lens and how they can help their bodies heal mind, body, heart, and soul, and how they can incorporate all of these things and into their journey, into their life, on all levels. It's all fantastic information. So even if there's a caretaker that is taking care of somebody with cancer or breast cancer, they could read it too and get a little bit of a glimpse as to what may be going through their loved one's mind.
Mhm. Mhm.
Um,
I
but
love that. I love that you've included that. That's
yeah,
so good. Yeah.
yeah. And there's meditations that I've created for them, really wanting them to when there are times that their nervous system can get super tight and in that fight or flight kind
Mhm.
of
Mhm.
sympathetic system, how can we make ourselves feel a little bit more calm and restored? And in those moments, I typically have a recorded meditation that they will be able to navigate their ways to listen to these meditations. So there's also practices that they would be able to do, journaling prompts and the meditations and checklist of, before they start chemo, before they start surgery. Um, but it's interactive
Mhm.
and it's also really coming back to helping each one of my readers get back to reclaiming their power, not giving their power over to the cancer, right?
Yeah.
And to this diagnosis, and really learning to also understand if something in their journey doesn't feel right just because your doctor says you have to do it. Do you? If it really doesn't feel right and aligned to you and your energy and your essence, do you have to do everything they say? I'm going to say no. And I know that's a big statement. And I don't ever really want to go against doctors, but I also understand the power of feeling aligned and that gut feeling and your own intuition. And that should be way stronger
Mhm.
than anybody else, anybody else's word or anybody else's suggestions, as long as you're doing things on the side and really trying to do other things. But just because somebody says you have to do something, I mean, would you go jump off a bridge just because somebody said you had to do it?
Right.
No.
No, I'd get a
Right.
second opinion on that.
Second opinions or go right, exactly, you know what I mean? So it's really kind of helping the readers also navigate, find grace and ease, but then also stand in their power and then just give them a lot of ideas of what they can do to holistically help support their system. And I don't ever say you have to do this, because what I just said, right? I
Right,
want
right.
them to really what feels aligned to you. It's just a lot of suggestions and,
And
offerings.
suggestions that you've got firsthand experience with as far as how you went through it. So I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like that's pretty powerful in itself.
Yeah.
So how is it broken up? You have, it's right from when they hear those words. What can people expect on those first pages?
Mm. They have, and I'm going to try to keep it short and sweet so I don't give it away.
Right.
They're going to have two choices. They are going to have a moment where they're at a fork road. They hear those words, you have breast cancer. Now what? Right? Am I going to go down this path of like, woe is me? I can't believe this. How did this happen to me? No, like, and you see me right now shrinking and shrinking and shrinking as I'm saying those
Mhm,
words.
mhm,
Or I could be like, you know what? I'm going to take this beast on. I'm going to stand in my power. I'm going to take this like the warrior that I am. And I'm going to do everything in my power because I deserve it. I am worthy of living. I am worthy of showing up to this disease and fighting this disease, but not fighting myself. I am worthy of healing myself and doing it in a beautiful, graceful way.
mhm.
And that's how I'm going to show up. Right.
Nice.
So that's like, really the first of it is how are you going to look at this?
Yeah.
Prison
Because I
sentence
remember
or a
how oh
gift?
my God, it was so scary.
It was
I was, I,
absolutely.
I was just in such a deep, dark space. And I do remember waking up in the middle of the night one night going, I can't do this.
Scary.
I can't stay here.
Yeah.
And so I did. I reached out to Eddie Enever I just started kind of searching around Facebook,
Hmm.
cancer support, found Eddie Enever in Australia. And I kind of watched some of his videos, and he's a three-time cancer survivor. And I just
Yeah.
thought, you know what? I'm going to message this guy. So I did, told him that I was just diagnosed and I was just freaking out and I was super dark.
Yeah.
And I
Sure.
know I can't stay here. Can we talk to each other about how you can support me? And he reached out to me pretty quickly. I've interviewed him before and he's great.
Hmm. It's amazing.
He reached out to me and he's like, let's talk. So he's the one that helped me. He really took that proverbial, hand and drug
Yeah.
me out of the darkness. And
Because it
that, I,
is. It's
yeah.
so dark. It's so heavy. It's so
Mhm.
scary. The fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown is a real thing. And
Yes.
that's why I needed this book to be
I
birthed
love
out
it.
into the world for our beautiful pink sisters. So
I love it.
we go through that, and I never downplay the heaviness of what they would be feeling or could potentially be feeling. But I am
Right.
giving them that same thing of like, here are things that you can pull yourself out of it, and and then, all the way even into like body image and how your body's going to
Yes.
change, right? So there's a lot to it. It's really
Well,
great.
yeah, and mourning, the loss of our breasts. I mean, our breasts are, what we think
Yes.
of as our womanhood, right? And
Yeah.
so luckily, I kind of I feel better in my body now. I mean, I have
Sure. And that's a
gotten
process.
over. Yeah,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
is. It is. And then I get PTSD. So when I have to go see my oncologist,
Mhm.
I walk in there and literally the smell and
Yeah.
everything. It's like I don't even wanna be there, right? So,
Yeah.
um, so you have here too the importance of support, like support groups. Um, I'm assuming in your book, do you have some information about that? About
I have
support groups?
information about like creating your team of support, from everything from your team of doctors to who are going to be your go-to people on your
Yeah,
down days when you are having very dark days. Who are you going to lean on? Is it your spouse? Is it a best friend? If you don't even have anybody, ask your local cancer center. They have support systems and
Yes.
support groups there. The importance of being supported and held through this is super important. So I do talk about that fairly in the beginning of the book of think about this and think about how you need to be supported, because I understand that sometimes you're not going to know what you need, but you need to use your voice. And in
Right.
there, if there are days where you really do need something from somebody, use it and be like, hey, I need this right now, whether it's somebody bringing you a smoothie or somebody dropping off a meal or coming to clean your house, whatever the case may
Right.
be. But yes, the having a support, whether it's a circle of other people going through it or people of your tight knit group, create that and lean into them in the beginning and all
Yeah.
throughout.
And I mean, it is really hard for people who are on the outside and they're watching their friend
Hmm.
or their family member going through things like that. And it's really cool because I've interviewed Alyssa Calver from wegotthis.org. And
Okay.
she's got metastatic breast cancer. And she came up with a website where people can go to, and it's kind of like run like a baby registry or a wedding
Hmm.
registry where
Hmm.
people, but it's for cancer. And so
Yeah.
if people can have a wish list on there and people can support that way, but also have another friend of mine who is using a website called Giving in Kind, and
Hmm.
it houses all of the things that a cancer patient needs, like people can donate their time or money for house cleaning. They can, there's a wish list on there. There's a meal
Mm.
train that's connected to there. So support out there is just getting more and more amazing. And
Yeah.
so, and it's easier for people to support. We have two fantastic organizations here in Reno, Nevada Cancer Coalition, that I work with all the time. In fact, on the 4th, which is World Cancer Day, I'm going to be teaching a breast cancer class there. And also, I work with our friend Natalie, who has Cancer Community Clubhouse. So people go there and they do yoga, they do sound baths, they
Mm.
do crafts, or they just go there and have coffee talk. So
Yeah.
reaching out, and I'm sure, like you, I have people who connect people to me all the time. In fact,
Yeah.
I have had three people just in the last few weeks reach out to me and say, "Hey, Jamie, I just wanted to connect you to one of my really good friends who just got breast cancer, or her mom just got breast cancer." Like, I have a phone
Hmm.
call after our meeting now
Hmm.
with someone who, so I can help them support their mom. And
Yeah.
so, it's just so I really encourage people who've been diagnosed to really, really let people help you
Yeah.
because we don't
And
want
oh,
to.
that's a huge, I talk about that in the book, especially women that we're like, oh, I can do it all. I got this.
Yep.
Don't let them help you. People want to help you. They don't know what to
Right.
do and they want to help. Let them.
Yes. Let them.
Let
Let
them. Yeah.
them.
Yes.
Well, I think this is so great. I cannot wait for the book. I definitely need to get, where is it going to be sold? I assume
So
on
it's going to be on,
Amazon.
yep, on Amazon, and then in Barnes and Nobles at some point as
Okay.
well. But I believe right now it's going to be just starting on Amazon, and I'll send you the link and everything once it's up and ready to go. And I'm so excited. Like I said before, I'm just so ready for her to be birthed out into the world.
Yeah.
And I know that she is going to help so many of our Pink sisters, and I just hope that it really does bring them that sense of peace and safety and support that they so need to go through this. So I'm really excited and
Yeah.
really ready to get it out there.
Well, I'm excited too. And you know what? Writing a book is not easy. That
Yeah.
takes a lot of effort and time. And I'm sure you woke up in the middle of the night thinking, okay, well, no, I need to do this, I need to do that.
Yeah.
I am just very, very grateful for people like you. And I maybe you can do a couple little snippet read alouds, just to kind of get it
Yes.
out there too.
And
Yeah, no.
actually on February 23rd at 7
Okay.
p.m. Eastern
Oh,
Standard Time, I am going to be doing an online launch. So
Okay.
I can send you the link to that,
Yes.
and we'll put it in the show notes.
Yes.
And for anybody who wants to join, they'll be able to, I'll come on and I will do a few different readings, and we will talk about ways that you can order the book and review the book when you're done, and kind of go from there. So I will definitely send that to you, and we can put it in the show notes.
And by the way, those books are really helpful. I remember when I first got diagnosed, I wanted to know all the things that I can use on my face to make it look like I'm
Mm,
an actual, still a girl. And I bought a book called Pretty Sick. And
interesting.
there was all kinds of research that went into it. And it was a woman who had gone through breast cancer, and she was a very high powered person who worked in the public a lot. So she needed to be able to
Yeah.
look
Still look.
like she
Mm-hmm.
wasn't sick. And so
Mm-hmm.
she recommended different kinds of makeup, everywhere from personal care for your vagina, and
Yeah.
just
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
wigs and nails, how to take care of your nails, just everything. And so books
That's
like yours
amazing.
is just so they're just so helpful. So in
Yeah.
the show notes, I've got a couple of things. I have your website, Healing Harmony. I have your email address, and also where people can follow you on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. I love it. Flow with Chrissy.
Yeah.
And then you have a couple of resources below. Yeah, the Heal documentary,
Yeah, it's great.
Cancer Cartel, You Can Thrive, How Not to Die. I remember you mentioning that
Mm-hmm.
book, How Not to Die, Anti-Cancer, A New Way of Life. So you've got some great resources, and we're very lucky to have you in the breast cancer
Thank
community,
you.
Chrissy. And I'm just so excited that you reached out to me and we got to do this again.
I know. And thank you for all the beautiful work that you are putting out into the world. With these podcasts, you are just getting the information out and having these beautiful conversations that people, are sitting back and like they're just not sure what to do. But podcasts like yours are so valuable to this industry. Unfortunately, I have to call breast cancer an industry because it is,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
But to our pink sisters and to the people that have gone before us, the people supporting them, the people that are going through it right now, and the beautiful women to come, unfortunately, that may be diagnosed in the future. So
Right.
keep up the amazing, amazing work. And I can't thank you enough.
Well, I will put your book on my resources. I don't know if you know or not, but I do have a website, testthosebreasts.org, and it
Amazing.
is a nonprofit. And in that website, there's a resource tab where I have my favorite books, my favorite podcasts, and just all the things. So I'll be putting that on there as well.
Amazing. Thank you so much. Thank you for your support always. It really means a
You're
lot.
You're so welcome, Chrissy. Well, thank you again. And to my
Thank you.
audience, I just really appreciate your joining us again. And as usual, please head to your favorite platform and rate and review this show. It really does help get the word out worldwide. And so give it a 5 star and give a little ditty on what you think about the podcast. I just really appreciate it. And we'll see you next time on the next episode of Test Those Breasts. Bye for now.